Hi dear students, welcome to S for Science. Today we are going to discuss about the tooth decay and dental caries, which is a continuation of digestive system. Right? It's a small topic which is given in your CBSE, but from it also there are some questions are coming in the board exam. So we will discuss about that. In the second chapter, acid and base, we have already learned that importance of acid, right? So which is very important in our tooth decay, and also it's playing an important role in our tooth decay and in digestive system also, right? So here we are discussing about that. Before going to that tooth decay or dental caries, right? So we have to actually discuss about the structure of the teeth. We have already learned in the smaller classes, but a slight recap we will go for here. A teeth, or you can see here, it has an outer covering which is the strongest part of our body, which is meaning enamel, right? Inside the enamel, which is not that much hard, stronger or harder, right? Which is the second part, which is the dentate. Inside that you can see that there will be a cavity which is called the pulp cavity, in which you can see that all the nerve vessels or the blood vessels, all the nerves, you can see that, right? So this is the structure of a teeth, right? Now what will happen? What do you mean by tooth decay or dental caries, right? So here the definition is that it is a demineralization of tooth surface by bacteria. What is the surface? It's enamel, right? So the enamel and dentate will start decaying. That's called tooth decay, right? How the bacterial action is happening here, that we have to understand. So whenever we are eating food, you can see that there will be sugar particle will be there, right? So improper brushing, or if it is not cleaned properly, then the remains of food will be there in our mouth, in between the teeth, that hole or anything, any part is there, it will be stuck inside that, right? So these sugar material, on that sugar material, the bacteria present in our mouth, there will be normal bacteria are there in our, like Staphylococcus aureus, some bacteria are there in our mouth. It will act on this sugar in the food material and it will start producing acid, right? So this acid, obviously acids are pH very less, right? So this acid will act on the enamel and dentate. It will be there, right? If improper brushing or not cleaned properly, then mostly at the night time, right? So that means if we are not cleaning or anything properly, right? So what will happen? The acid will be produced, that will be stayed there for a long time, and it will act on the enamel and dentate, and it will start decaying or destroying this dentate and enamel slowly. So that's called the tooth decay, right? So how actually it's acting here? One thing is there which is actually protecting. Normally it will happen. Now, so how it is actually, our mouth is actually protected, the teeth is actually protected. That's by the action of saliva, right? Saliva, there is a mucous membrane is there, right? Mucus secretion is there. That mucus actually neutralizes the acid so that our teeth will be protected, right? So if improper brushing, everything is happening, not proper cleaning, then obviously the deposit of food will be there, and it can lead to the formation of dental plaque, right? Dental plaque, which is the yellow color substance, there will be plaque formation will be there. That means slowly the layer will increase, right? So what will happen? The plaque will be there, right? The bacteria and everything will action will be there. Saliva cannot neutralize that acid because the plaque is actually there, right? So because of the plaque, saliva cannot go inside and neutralize that acid. So what will happen? Slowly there will be, plaque will go on increasing, the destruction of enamel and dentate will carry on, and obviously the tooth will decay, destroy, right? So that will in turn forming the dental caries, which is the holes in that tooth. So that is called dental caries, right? So here the saliva fails to protect that teeth because of the dental plaque, right? So the tooth decay starts, right? So what we have to do? We have to properly brush our teeth in the night time and daytime, so that all the things will be protected properly, right? Now we are moving to the next topic, that's actually respiration in human being. That's very important topic that we are going to, right? Before going to the respiration in human being, the respiratory system, first we have to understand what you mean by respiration and their types, right? So what do you mean by respiration? In the first section, we have learned about digestive system, right? The nutrition. What we are actually doing there? We are actually taking the food inside, and the complex food be converted into simpler molecule, right? Now the simpler molecule is there, right? Can we get enough energy? Why we are taking food? We are taking food for our making energy, so that we can move, we can dance, whatever activity we needed, that we can perform properly, right? So the food digested. Now the energy production must be there. Then only we can utilize that energy. Simply the food converted into similar molecule, that cannot be utilized. So from that similar molecule, the energy production must be happen. Then only we can utilize that. That production of energy or the process of release of energy from the food is known as respiration. This respiration has two steps. One is the gaseous exchange, which is a physical respiration that we are telling, breathing in and breathe out, right? So that's actually the physical respiration. After that, there will be cellular respiration through which the energy is released, right? So first step, the gaseous exchange. What is happening here? Here the oxygen intake is happening, and after that respiration, the oxygen, carbon dioxide release is also there after cellular respiration. First we will take the oxygen inside, and the oxygen will be transported through the blood into different cell. Inside the cell there will be mitochondria, which is the site of cellular respiration. In that mitochondria, the absorbed glucose will be there. Right. Once we will finish the life process, you will get an entire idea, clear idea will be there. Now I will repeat once again so that you will understand what will happen. Breathing in, right? We are actually taking the air, right? From that air, we are actually taking the oxygen that will be carried by the blood into different cell. Inside the cell, the important cell organelle, which is the powerhouse of the cell, that is the mitochondria. Inside the mitochondria, the cellular respiration, which is the second step of respiration, will take place. So what is that actually cellular respiration? After digestion, what formed? The simpler molecule, the simple sugar, glucose formed, right? Now the simpler molecule, glucose, will reach inside the mitochondria, right? That is C6H12 or 6, right? So it reached here. Now what will happen? That will be combined with the oxygen, which is carried by the blood, right? And after this, here combustion, combination of oxygen, that's called combustion, right? So here what will happen? After this, that will be combined together, chemical reaction will be there, and it will release carbon dioxide, right, water and energy. This energy will be formed in the form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. That energy, that is the energy currency, right? So the energy currency of our life, right, ATP, which can be utilized for various chemical activities. Simply we can say this is the respiration, right? So these are two steps, physical respiration and cellular respiration. You will understand when we will discuss about the respiratory system and the processing, right? Now, I hope you have a small idea about this. Now we are going to discuss about the type of respiration. What are the different type of respiration that happening in our surroundings, right? In the animal, different animals or plants, what are the different type of respirations are there? There are mainly two types of respiration. One is the aerobic respiration and another one anaerobic respiration. Air means oxygen, right? Aerobic respiration means it is happening in the presence of oxygen, right? Anaerobic means in the absence of oxygen. That's it, right? So here we already discussed cellular respiration, oxygen must be there, otherwise combustion will not be there. But it can happen in some organism or in some cells. It will happen without the presence of oxygen also, the release of energy will take place. That's called anaerobic respiration. First we will go for an aerobic respiration. Here what will happen? The glucose C6H12 or 6, which is the simplest sugar, right? So in presence of oxygen, we told aerobic respiration. From where the oxygen is coming, we are taking in, right? Okay. So now the combustion will be there. After that, what will happen? Carbon dioxide, which is the waste material, and water. And along with that, lots of energy will be released, right? So this carbon dioxide will be taken out by the breathing out. What is that? Inhalation and exhalation. So that's the physical respiration after this, right? So this is the process. This is called aerobic respiration. Now what is happening in anaerobic respiration? Anaerobic respiration actually we can classify into two types. One is the fermentation, another one is the lactic acid fermentation. What do you mean by fermentation? Both are actually in the absence of oxygen. But it's a slight difference is there. What do you mean by? Here, fermentation or alcoholic fermentation, actually it is happening in the absence of oxygen. Absence means there is nothing, no presence of oxygen is there. Fully empty, there is no presence of oxygen is there. That's called absence of oxygen, right? Sometimes some problem is there, that means we need oxygen but enough oxygen is not available. That means we will say that scarcity of oxygen is there or lack of oxygen is there. That is in the case of lactic acid fermentation. I hope you have understand what I told, right? Fermentation, that is actually in the absence of oxygen. Here, lack of oxygen is there, right? And where it is actually taking place. I will give you one example. Whenever you are involved in any heavy activities, right? Physical activities or any sports items running or relay, high jump, whatever it is. Sometimes you will feel the muscle cramp. Why? Actually, whenever you are doing some physical activity, heavy physical activity, you are running in short of oxygen, right? You are breathing very fast, right? Why you are breathing very fastly? You actually need more energy, more combustion needed, more oxygen needed, then you have to breathe fast, right? So actually there is a limit, right? We cannot, there is a limit, we are not a supercomputer or anything, there is a limit for our intake, right? So what will happen, normally we need more oxygen so that more energy will be produced, so that can be utilized for our movement or physical exercise, production of more energy. But what will happen, the lack of oxygen is there. How much needed, that much amount will not be available. Oxygen is still there, but scarcity is there. That means how much needed, that much amount is not available. Then our cell, that is especially the muscle cells, class 9 you have already learned the structure of muscle cells, right? So that muscle cell will simply switch their aerobic respiration into anaerobic respiration, right? So that means till the moment they are doing the aerobic respiration, right, in the presence of oxygen, that will be slightly switched to anaerobic respiration only for some time, right? So that time what they will do, they will perform the same activity. The glucose will be converted, right, into carbon dioxide, lactic acid, which is an intermediate product, right? So intermediate product, and some amount of energy will be produced. There is no need of oxygen. It can undergo combustion without the presence of oxygen. That time also energy will be produced, but not that much energy in the case of aerobic respiration. In aerobic respiration, lots of amount of energy is producing, but here not that much. But temporarily we can use that, right? So that time we will switch that aerobic respiration. V means the muscle cells will switch the aerobic respiration to anaerobic respiration. That's the production of, after the process, there will be production of lactic acid. That's why we name it as lactic acid fermentation, and where it will take place inside the human muscle cells, right? And there will be energy production, but not that much enough. That can be utilized. But what is the after effects of this? After some time, if it is going on like that, lactic acid will be accumulated in our muscle cell, and it will cause muscle cramps. The pain will be the sudden pain, right? After some time, if you are making that muscles rubbing and all, that will make it warmth. If you are giving some warmth and all, it will be suddenly, right? That means proper respiration will be back. Then that will be again switched back to aerobic respiration. That's actually normally happening. I hope you understand how the muscle cramp is happening. What is the solution of that? Clear? Right. So what about anaerobic fermentation or alcoholic fermentation we are telling? This is the complete anaerobic fermentation. It's also anaerobic fermentation, but actually lack of oxygen, right? So what is happening here? It mostly taking place inside yeast and some anaerobic bacteria. In that cell it is actually happening, right? So that means there will be absence of oxygen. There is no availability of oxygen. That time also the glucose will be converted into another product, which is ethanol, which is an alcohol. Carbon chapter you will learn about that, organic chemistry. Ethanol, which is an alcohol, and carbon dioxide, and some amount of energy will be there. Again, here the product is an alcohol, that's why it is named as alcoholic fermentation, right? So we will have a overview of all these three processes. I am just doing this. This is the process. Here, first our glucose is there, right? Which is a simple sugar, which is a 6-carbon compound, right? C6H12O6, right? And first process of respiration, that means there are 2 steps in cellular respiration. The first step of cellular respiration is actually happening in cytoplasm. Inside the cytoplasm, whether it is aerobic, anaerobic, no matter, every respiration process, the first step is taking place in the cytoplasm. What will happen? The glucose will be converted into a product which is called pyruvate or pyruvic acid, right? And some amount of energy will be produced. This will be common for all these three, right? Whether aerobic, lactic acid or alcohol, whatever it is, this step will be common. Actually, this 6 carbon compound is converted into 3 carbon. Still carbon is remaining, right? That means still it can split and produce more energy. Still carbon is there, right? So if it is an aerobic respiration, aerobic, first we will discuss about aerobic. If it is an aerobic respiration, what will happen? The presence of oxygen is there, and where it will take place? Inside the mitochondria. What will happen? This glucose will be converted into pyruvate, that's the same. This pyruvate will be converted into carbon dioxide, water and energy. Carbon dioxide, that's the last, only one carbon is there. So all the carbon, whatever things are there, they all are split and maximum amount of energy produced here. Right? So in presence of oxygen, which is taking place inside the mitochondria. If it is anaerobic, that's in yeast, that means absence of oxygen, complete absence of oxygen. What will happen? Glucose will be converted into pyruvate in the cytoplasm of that cell, and after that, the absence of oxygen, right? So the pyruvate will be converted into 2 carbon compound called ethanol, which is an alcohol. So 3 carbon will be converted to 2 carbon. Still it can convert more, right? And compared to less amount of energy will be produced here. Here carbon dioxide will also be there, but compared to less amount of energy will be produced here. Where it take place? It take place in yeast cell mostly, and there are some other anaerobic bacteria. Now, in our human muscle cells, whenever there will be a lack of oxygen, that means oxygen is there but not enough amount or sufficient amount. That means scarcity of oxygen is there. That time what will happen? Our muscle cell will shift, right? That just a switch will be there from aerobic to anaerobic. Right? What will happen there? The glucose will be converted into pyruvate, and that pyruvate will be converted into lactic acid. Again, it is a 3 carbon compound. That means there is not that much change, right? And carbon dioxide is not forming, and energy will be there. Compared to all these things, very less amount of energy will be produced in this process. Here very high, somewhat low, and here very low, right? So this is the thing. So that means here in muscle cells only for a short period. I hope you have a clear idea. We have compared all these things. This is the flow chart of aerobic and anaerobic respiration happening in different cells. I hope you have understood. Thank you.